$552.47 a month. That's the top of the board for restless legs, and the evidence deciding whether you ever reach it had to exist before you filed, not after. Before. There's one word in the regulation that quietly caps this condition lower than almost anything else you'll claim. Carry that with you.
0. That's how many diagnostic codes the schedule gives restless legs. Leo here, and that single fact drives everything else in this video.
Today we go deeper into what the VA does when your condition simply isn't on its list.
Yeah, and the rule that covers it is 4.20. When an unlisted condition is encountered, the VA rates it under a closely related disease or injury, where the functions affected and the symptoms are closely analogous. That's the whole permission slip, and it's 2 sentences long.
Then 4.27 builds the number, body system first, then 99.
Which is why your decision letter says 8199-8103, and why nobody can find 8199 anywhere. It doesn't exist. It's a placeholder, meaning we had nothing listed for this.
2 moves ahead of most people, that. And it means a diagnosis by itself decides nothing. The letter naming restless legs is the beginning of the argument, not the end of it. If you want the plain language walkthrough of analogous ratings with the code numbers laid out, it's free at va.professorerica.com.
Before you finish that thought, Grace, if it isn't on the list, who decides what it's worth?
Errata does, by picking a code that was written for something else entirely. And the one they pick has a ceiling most veterans never see coming. Let me pause for just a second because this genuinely helps. If you are getting value here, hit that like button, then subscribe and ring the bell. It costs you nothing, and it is the single biggest thing that keeps these videos coming. %. That's the ceiling, and it's the whole reason this claim behaves differently from every other one you'll file. Professor Lindquist is at the desk to settle something we've been arguing about off-air. Thomas, the code itself.
8103 is convulsive tic. Severe is 30, moderate is 10, mild is 0. Those are the only 3 doors, and there's no 4th one.
Which I'd have told you tops out at 60, and I'd have been wrong. I was thinking of the neurological codes that go higher. This one doesn't.
Before I put the money up, over or under $400 a month at the top of that scale?
Under. 30% is never 400.
Wait, back up. Which 30% are we pricing?
A veteran alone, no dependents, current rates, $552.47 a month, effective December 1st, 2025. Over, Leo.
Over by 150. I was pricing the 10% tier in my head.
9 times out of 10, that's the mistake in the room. People argue about severity while pricing the wrong tier.
Why does an analogous code cap lower than a listed one?
It doesn't as a rule. It caps wherever the borrowed code caps. 8103 was written for a tic, and a tic was never expected to be totally disabling, so its ladder is short. Borrow that code and you inherit its ceiling along with its criteria. That is the trade the schedule makes when nothing on the list fits you.
So the strategy changes. On a condition with a 30% ceiling, you don't spend 2 years fighting for a number that doesn't exist. You get the 30, then you look sideways.
Different animal entirely, what those 3 words actually mean. The note under 8103 is 1 line, and it's the most useful line in this whole video. The rating depends upon frequency, severity, and the muscle groups involved. That's it. 3 variables, and none of them is your diagnosis.
So how tired I am the next day counts for nothing.
Not under this code, Leo. It might matter to the sleep apnea claim sitting next to it, and that's a different fight. Here the examiner is counting nights and limbs.
I'd push back on that. Severity has to include daytime impact, or the word means nothing.
The note says frequency, severity, muscle groups. Daytime function isn't in it.
Fine, I hate it. It's correct, and I hate it.
Then describe it. Don't assert it.
And the third variable is the one people skip entirely, muscle groups involved. If it's both legs and it has started reaching your arms, That's a wider involvement than one calf, and it belongs in the record in those words.
Nobody thinks to write down which limbs. So what does a ratter see when the record says nothing about it?
Right, and this is where a dated log beats any adjective you can reach for. 5 nights out of 7. Both legs, sometimes the left arm. 40 minutes before it settles. That reads as severe without ever using the word, and it costs you a notebook.
Hold that number, 5 out of 7, because it comes back when we get to the secondary claim and it changes what that claim is worth. Thomas is still with us for this one. The sideways move.
3.310. A disability proximately due to, or the result of, a service-connected condition is itself service-connected, and once it is, the schedule treats it as part of the original condition.
Let me tell you how that lands, and I'll say up front the number that matters here is the small one, not the big one. Take a veteran in the sourced case file. 50s, retired guard, already service-connected for sleep apnea. The leg started years after the apnea did. He files and he gets 10%.
Erica, 10, not 30.
10, $180.42 a month, and he assumed the claim had failed. It hadn't. It was rated moderate because moderate was all the record described.
So the secondary link was the easy part.
Usually is. The link is medical. The tier is documentary. People prepare for the wrong one.
And if you only hold one number out of all this, hold the difference between those two tiers, because you can move it with a notebook.
Both things are true here. Secondary service connection is the realistic route for most people, and the tier you land on is decided by paperwork you could have written months ago.
Thomas, thank you. The split between the medical link and the documentary tier is the sharpest thing said at this desk today.
Ask the room why the baseline matters. Then I'll have earned the chair.
Because the baseline is where honest claims die. 3.310 has a second half, and it's the half nobody reads.
Aggravation. If a service-connected condition makes a non-service-connected one worse, that increase is service-connected too. Which sounds generous until you read the next sentence. I mean, it is generous, it's just conditional in a way that catches people.
Conditional how?
The VA will not concede aggravation unless the baseline level of severity is established by medical evidence created before the onset of aggravation, or the earliest medical evidence made between that onset and now.
You said baseline. What is a baseline in one sentence?
A dated medical record showing how bad the legs were before your service-connected condition started making them worse.
So the evidence you need most is the evidence you had no reason to create.
That's exactly the trap. Nobody documents a problem they don't yet know will matter.
Erica, give me one that a rater would actually accept.
Anything dated and medical. A primary care note from 6 years ago where you mentioned the legs in passing. A sleep study that recorded limb movements. A pharmacy record showing when the medication started. None of that was created to win a claim, which is exactly why a ratter trusts it.
Which is why I'd file the straight secondary claim first and treat aggravation as the fallback, not the opening move. A mechanical watch tells you when it's cheap by the sound it makes, and an aggravation claim with no baseline sounds cheap to a rater from the first page. So answer Tomas, why does the baseline matter? Because it decides whether the aggravation half of the rule is open to you at all.
And here's where this is going. The one thing tonight is the log.
Stop right there, that's my lane. The log isn't a diary. It's 3 numbers a night, and it takes 10 seconds, nights per week. Which limbs? How long before it settles? That's the entire document, and it's the difference between the moderate tier and the severe one. I steep tea by the clock, and I still couldn't tell you how many nights my own legs did anything last month, which is the point, nobody can, from memory. The record has to be made while it happens.
10 seconds, that's the rep.
And I'll say the honest thing about this route. 30% is a real ceiling, so if you're already sitting at 80 or 90 combined, This claim may move your check by very little once the combined math is done, and there are better places to spend the effort. But if you're in the 30s or 40s, this is one of the cheapest tiers to earn on the whole schedule, because the evidence is free and you make it yourself. That's my verdict.
2 things to carry. Restless Legs has no code of its own and gets rated by analogy under 8103, where 30% is the ceiling. And the tier you land on is decided by frequency, limbs, and duration, all of which you can document starting tonight.
If this saved you a wasted appeal, hit like and subscribe so the next veteran finds it before they file, not after. Mine is 5 nights out of 7, if I'm honest about last month. So here's what I want from you. Is your Restless Legs claim sitting at 10% when your own nights would support the 30? Write the nights down, then write the claim. I'm Grace, and I'll see you at the next one.